Hello, K-lovers from all around the world. Welcome back to another week of 어썸K!
예! 안녕하세요. 한국 드라마를 사랑하는 사혜입니다.
Hello everyone, my name is Emily.
Alright, so yeah, before we dive into the new Doona drama, why don't we chat about what got us hooked on Korean content in the first place?
한국 드라마에 나오는 배우들이 이렇게 은은 연기를 엄청 잘하다고 생각을 해서 저도 모르게 약간 감정 몰입이 더 되는 느낌이 있어서 그래서 한국 드라마를 더 좋아하는 것 같습니다.
아니, 우는 연기가 달라요?
네,
일본 드라마나
다르죠. 박보영 씨를 많이 좋아하는데 박보영 씨는 우는 연기를 정말 잘해서 박보영 씨가 울면 저도 무조건 울게 되더라고요.
아, 그래요?
It's something I realized as well. I feel like, especially when they convey emotions like sadness, I feel like especially, yeah, like sadness and like tears, something's just more, I don't know why or anything, but it's just the way people, like the crying, it's just so much more real to me. It looks legit. I don't know why, but it makes me cry too, especially at Park Bo-young. Yeah, she's so good. She's really good.
특히 우리나라 배우들이
특히.
그러니까 더 우는 게 더 슬프다. 그렇게 느낀 이유가 있는.
Maybe I feel like there's more points in Korean dramas where they try to draw out on emotions because they focus kind of on those like emotional points. I feel like maybe American dramas will focus more on the action or like drama of a storyline. So maybe they might be better at like, you know, conveying that kind of thing. But not as much as like the emotional storyline.
지난번에 얘기했던 그 감정의 롤러코스터?
Yeah,
같은
exactly.
그런 상황에 더 눈물이 잘 난다.
Yeah.
But I feel like part of the difference could be that, like, especially for comparing it to like Hollywood, I feel like there's a lot of money that goes into Hollywood. So then there's a bigger focus on like the elaborateness of it, whereas a lot of like Korean shows have smaller budgets. So they have to focus more in on like the emotion and like the like writing or more like the bones of the project.
That's really
So they try to heighten that to kind of make up for that, maybe.
생각하지 못했던 이유가 될 수도 있겠다는 생각이 들어요. 에밀리가 얘기한 것도 캐서린도 얘기한 것도 그렇고.
문화 차이 같은 것도 있다고 생각하는 게 일본에서는 특히 약간 자기의 감정을 숨기는 것이 아름답다 막 이런 오래된 그런 개념이 있어가지고 한국 사람보다 감정을 솔직하게 드러내는 것을 약간 좀 창피하게 생각하는 부끄럽게 생각하는 그런 문화가 있거든요. 그래서 일본 사람들은 똑같이 느끼는데 그걸 표현을 못하는 거지. 그래서 대신 한국 드라마를 보면서 그런 거를 배우들이 표현해주니까 뭐랄까요, 자기도 모르게 그런 거에 공감이 돼서 울어버리는 게 있지 않을까.
한국말로 대리만족이라고 하거든요. 그런 걸 느껴서 또 한국 드라마를 많이 보고 하겠구나. 그런 생각이 드네요.
네, 울기 위해서.
울기 위해서.
울기 위해서.
사야 씨는 여기서 감정을 많이 드러내도 돼요.
울어도 괜찮아요.
울어도 괜찮아. 생각해보니까 미국 드라마나 영화에서도 보고 이렇게 약간 터칭, 무빙 받아서 그런 경험이 그렇게 많지는 않은 것 같아요.
In the US, movies that are more like, touching or like more about the emotions or like sappy or things like that are generally delegated to like the realm of like chick flick or like movies for the specific female audience. Where I feel like in Korea, like dramas are generally seen as like, oh, everyone watches them, or like everyone can watch them, or like those kinds of stories are for everyone. Whereas the US, if you're someone that watches like the like sad, romantic or touching emotions filled type shows, it's like, oh, that's like a specific category that only certain people usually watch. Of course, that's not always true, but like the public perception is kind of like.
그래미상이 이제 좀 있으면 열리는데 거기서 K-pop 아티스트들이 모두 탈락했다는 소식이 한국에 전해졌어요. 그게 미국에서 인기가 식은 건가 하는 생각도 드는데 어때요? 우리 사야 씨가 고개를 절레절레 흔드는.
절대 그런 건 아니고요. 제가 미국 언론 그런 것도 다 확인을 해봤는데, 이번 일에 대해서 어떻게 얘기를 하고 있는지. 근데 미국 쪽에서도 놀랍다는 사람이 굉장히 많더라고요.
And I think that K-pop artists are gaining a lot of popularity among the like general public. A lot of fans complain that because their popularity is well known, they're usually invited because people know that it will gain traction and that people will watch the show, but won't actually give them like musical recognition. So I feel like currently we're at a place where a lot of those kinds of like boards or the people within the music industry in those positions recognize the popularity and like the economic pull that they have, but they haven't yet recognized them for their like musical abilities or like what they bring to the table in terms of like their performance and things like that.
Yeah, I feel like with all the BTS stuff that happened before too, I wasn't really surprised that this happened because I feel like the Grammys have just started to become kind of notorious for not the decisions that they make or the people, the songs or the albums that they end up like, you know, voting to win.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of controversy on that, and I know the kind of popularity and people watching has kind of gone down in the past. People are kind of not really looking to the Grammys as something where it's really, oh, this is the album of the year, this is the artist of the year kind of thing. I feel people aren't really, you know.
이번에는 될 거다라는 기대를 하고 있었던 사람들이 굉장히 많아서 BTS 팬들뿐만 아니라 이제 다른 사람들도 그런 식으로 시청률 때문에 K-pop을 이용하지 마라, K-pop의 인기를 이용하지 마라. 그렇다고 해서 상을 준 건 아니니까 굉장히 보수적이다, 너무 보수적이지 않냐, 막 이런 얘기도 많이 나왔고, 그래서 좀 그래미 상에 대해서 비판적인 의견들이 많이 나와 있었던 것 같아요. 그러니까 사람들이 점점 이제 관심이 없어지는 느낌이 있는 것 같아요.
아니 그러면 그 소식 듣고 막 미국 언론이나 막 찾아본 게 사야 씨가 화가 나서 그런 거예요?
저는 사실 이번에 BTS 멤버들이 솔로곡도 많이 나왔잖아요. 특히 정국이라는 멤버의 노래가 굉장히 미국에서도 인기가 많았고, 왜지? 왜 안 됐지? 그래서 찾아봤는데, 네, 언론 쪽에서도 막 의외 없다, 막 이런 얘기를 많이 하더라고요.
분노의 아미의 분노.
아미는.
So now we're going to move on to our topic for this week, which is the Netflix drama Doona. So basically, it's just a romance drama about an ordinary male college student who goes to Seoul for college, and then he ends up living at a share house where there's a retired idol who's living there, I think, on the first floor, and they meet, they get to know each other, and it's kind of just this romance story of, you know, how they start to get more interested in each other. And so basically Netflix, they promoted it as the best romance drama of this fall season. However, in Korea, it did rank #1 for about 2 weeks after the release, and then it remained in the top 10. Let's talk about the awesome points. So, starting with Saya, what was your awesome point that you had from Doona?
그 누나 역할을 연기한 수지의 그 패션이나 미모, 연기력, 뭐 그런 거가 어썸 포인트였다고 생각을 하고, 특히 수지 패션이 아이돌 패션이라면 이런 느낌이라는 걸 수지가 이렇게 보여준 게 이두나의 모습이었다고 생각을 해요.
그 드라마 자체는 생각이 잘 안 나고 어쨌든 수지가 많이 보였다는 거죠?
네, 드라마 자체도 좋았는데, 예를 들어서 연출 이런 것도 예쁘게 잘 나온 장면들이 많았고, 좋았지만 무엇보다 수지가 저는 원래 수지를 굉장히 좋아하는 팬으로서 네, 그렇게 보인 건지도 모르겠지만 네, 수지가 특별히 빛났다.
이두나 드라마는 수지 드라마다.
네.
I felt like her character was very intriguing and like interesting. And I wanted to see like how she changed throughout the show, especially like, cause I feel like it kind of borders on that, I don't know, like there's like the manic pixie dream girl stereotype, right? I felt like it fell into that while also being the opposite. Because when I picture like that stereotype, I think of like, you know, the main male lead's always like fascinated by her and she thinks differently and like all of that, which she is. But usually the stereotype is that they're like really high on life. And for her, it's like the total opposite. So it was a very like interesting character that was like very like, yeah, very like alluring, which is I thought like I think just Susie's charm in general, but then just like the way she portrayed the character was really interesting.
So I don't know if what you guys picked up on for like what you would say is the non-awesome point of the drama.
두 가지 의견으로 나눠졌다라고 해야 되나요? 네, 그런 엔딩이었다고 생각을 해요. 저는 엔딩이 조금 마음에 안 들었어요. 왜냐면 제가 그냥 개인적으로 약간 확실한 엔딩을 원했어요. 그래서 해피 엔딩이면 해피 엔딩, 새드 엔딩이면 새드 엔딩. 요즘 오픈 엔딩인 드라마가 조금 많아서 네, 그 드라마를 본 사람들 사이에서 이게 갈라지다 보니까 싸움까지 되더라고요. 그래서 어떤 사람은 아니다, 그건 해피엔딩이다. 결국 그 두 사람은 이루어질 것이다. 그런데 다른 한편으로는 그거는 새드 엔딩. 그 두 사람은 결국 헤어졌다. 오프닝 그 영상을 보면 마지막에 그 두 사람이 다시 이렇게 만나는 장면이 있는데 거기서 그 남자 주인공이 살짝 마지막에 웃는 거예요. 그래서 그게 무슨 뜻일까? 그 웃음이 무슨 뜻일까? 자꾸 생각하게 되는. 이제 네, 확실한 엔딩이었으면 좋았을 텐데 그게 자꾸 생각하게 돼요. 아, 좋은 드라마인가? 모르겠어요. 네.
When I first finished the ending, I felt the same way. Like I was really like following and I was like, like, you know, really invested. And then it felt like it just ended. And I was like, what was that? You know, I was so like frustrated. But then immediately after I like go online and I search up like other people's opinions about the ending. And I think that they ended up together. And at first I thought like, oh, it's kind of like vague or whatever, but I was reading a bunch of other people's like investigations into it.
배경사진 그 장면이 그 오프닝 마지막에 나오는데
Yeah, like
그때 옷이랑
clothes.
마지막 진짜 엔딩에 입는 옷이랑 똑같아서 그래서 사람들이 뒤에 그 만나는 것 같다. 네, 만났다 이런 얘기를.
So people in Korea as well were like really not happy with the ending. Like, why would you leave it open like that? And because the drama relied so much on kind of like that real, like showing kind of reality and like how people, like, it isn't always a happy ending. Some people will like just, break up naturally. People were like, it was totally opposite of what the drama was trying to do. At the end, like, that's not realistic what happened. Like, it was so open and like, who knows what they were doing, and just the way it ended was like there was no actual like why exactly did they break up? I don't know. They just were kind of standing there staring at each other half the time, which I was just like, say something please. Yes, I guess you have communication issues, but why are you making a drama on people who have communication issues and can't talk? We need to talk here. So I felt they really kind of destroyed his character at the end. There's like just didn't make sense. Anything he did really.
Kind of. I really enjoyed his character throughout most of the show, but the ending was a little bit.
Right? At the beginning, I was like, I like all the character, but then by the end, I was just like, oh my gosh, like, I would break up with you too. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're so...
그러니까 지금 우리나라에서는 뭐 공개 직후에는 조금 인기가 있었지만 그 뒤로 갈수록 막 인기가 막 그렇게 지속되는 것 같지는 않았는데 해외 반응은 어땠어요?
일단 일본에서는 제가 생각했던 것보다 그 엔딩에 대한 반응도 좋았어요. 그런데 반대로 미국에서는 그 엔딩에 대한 비판이 되게 많이 있었고, 특히 제가 느끼는 건 미국에서 K-드라마를 보는 사람들이 아직도 젊은 사람들이나 뭐 학생 그런 사람들이 많다고 생각하거든요. 이게 무조건 해피엔딩을 원하더라고요. 그래서 네, 미국인 친구들이 약간 엔딩을 먼저 알고 해피엔딩이면 보겠다. 네, 이런 사람들이 굉장히 많아진 거예요. 그래서 왜냐하면 새드 엔딩이면 계속 약간 그걸 잊지 못하고 트라우마로 남는다고. 그래서 이게 이두나가 중반에 조금 인기가 떨어진 게 그것 때문에도 있지 않을까라는 생각을 해요. 이미 본 사람들이 엔딩은 무조건 해피엔딩이라고 할 수가 없다. 이런 식으로 얘기를 하고 그래서 그럼 나 안 보겠다.
Whenever I'm scrolling on Instagram or anywhere and I get ads for dramas, when I look in the comments, all of the comments always asking a happy ending, and then people will
Right.
respond. So I think people really do go off of that. But I still hear about which ones are popular, and I hadn't heard about Iduna before. So I feel like, yeah, it's a little bit, it could be because of the ending, for people's like reviews, that it's not as popular or quickly lost public, attention.
젊은 세대들이 해피엔딩이었으면 좋겠다 정도가 아니라 무조건 해피엔딩이어야 돼. 나하고까지 생각을 하나 보네요. 그게 되게 재밌는 부분인 것 같아요. 그럼 미국에 진출하는 드라마들은 진짜 참고를 해야겠네요.
Especially in Korea, if there's a celebrity dating, someone, there's definitely a lot of public backlash that like kind of goes with that. I know definitely like in America that's not the case. Like people just gossip and judge about it. But in Korea it's kind of like a social like whoa kind of thing. I don't know what you guys had to talk about on that one.
Yeah, the idol relationship thing was really intriguing to me because usually, yeah, idols get a lot of backlash for like public dating or like secretly dating, things like that. So it's interesting to see a show where that's like the main focus. And part of me was wondering if, it's like interesting that then the audience is rooting for this. You want to root for this relationship, but then like the reality isn't that way.
왜 연예인은 연애를 하면 그렇게 나쁜 약간 역을 많이 먹는지 잘 이해가 안 되는데, 이렇게 드라마를 보면, 이두나를 보면 이 두 사람을 응원하게 되고, 이렇게 보는 사람들도 다 응원을 하잖아요. 이게 드라마 세계에서 벗어나서 현실의 아이돌 얘기가 되면, 뭐, 남자 아이돌에 여자친구가 있다, 막 그러면, 안 돼! 헤어져! 이러잖아요. 왜 드라마를 보면서 아이돌 일반인 연애하는 거 괜찮은데 현실 세계에서 그렇게 하면 안 되는지 잘 이해가 안 되고요.
Like the idols are kind of, in a way, they're, produced by the company a lot. A big part of the like marketing that goes into that is marketing the idol as, like
Industry.
your lover, like you're kind of like, that I forget what it's like, kind of an intimate relationship. Suddenly you realize the idol's dating. Oh, in my head I can't imagine myself dating that idol anymore because they're actually dating someone. Like there's no possibility that they would ever like me. I think that like when people find out that the lover is dating, it feels like they've been betrayed and stuff like that. And I think those are the people who like are the netizens and like are hating it and like calling out and stuff like that. And so I think that because there's that really big kind of toxic, I mean, it's everywhere, but in Korea, the really toxic netizen kind of culture, it can be really, really, really.
이게 아이돌에 대한 환상, 이런 꿈을 많이 가지고 있는 팬들이 스스로 그거를 이렇게 환상이라는 걸 알고 있어서 그걸 약간, 뭐라고 해야지? 델루루?
Delulu.
델루루?
Delulu.
델루루, 솔루루, 막 이런 말을 많이 쓰면서 그런 영상을 많이 만들고 또 이게 환상을 깨주는 이렇게 아이돌의 말 모임, 막 이런 것도 많이 있거든요. 예를 들어서, 오빠 너무 좋아해서 죽을 것 같대 하면, 그럼 죽어, 막 이런 영상이.
Yeah. I saw that. If you like the idol, if you're a fan, you're gonna be like a little bit delusional with Delulu. So I think these people are like, oh yeah, I'm so Delulu for like whatever. But in reality, they kind of understand that. And if that, you know, that idol or that celebrity, they did say like, oh no, like I have someone, they'd be like, oh, well, that's okay. Like they don't really care because they recognize it. But then there's people who don't recognize it, and they're the people who will never say, come out here and say like, oh my God, I'm Delulu, because like they are actually Delulu. So
yeah, it is like recognizing like kind of like the ridiculousness of it. It's just like making a joke out of it. Like you know that you're not actually close, so you know that like kind of interaction's never gonna happen, but just kind of making light of it. But I've definitely seen other comments on like different idol videos where like if someone comments like, oh, I'd be kind of sad if they got married, or like I'd be a little sad if they start dating, there's usually a comment below it that's like, what are you talking about? Or like people that kind of call it out, or like I've seen a lot of like, you know, girl, what kind of like phrasing.
그럼 사야 씨부터 이거 이두나 안 본 친구들한테 추천해 줄 수 있어요?
네, 추천할 수 있어요. 왜냐면 이게 이유가 이드나라는 작품이 엔딩은 논란이 있었지만 그래도 작품 자체는 재밌게 제가 봤고, 그리고 짧아서 어떤 K-드라마가 길어서 안 보겠다는 친구들도 있는데 이게 9 에피소드 그렇게 길지 않아서 그냥 봐 이렇게 네, 쉽게 할 수 있는 것 같아서 추천할 수 있을 것 같아요.
I would recommend it to my friends as well for very similar reasons. I feel like because it's so short, it's a nice like, oh, you want something to watch like during the weekend or something, watch it, or just for like the interesting like emotions like what we talked about before. Like the kind of I think it was very like there are a lot of unique aspects to it. Very interesting. I'd like definitely recommend it just to see what like other friends think about it. I would recommend.
yeah, so definitely thank you guys so much for coming together for another episode of Awesome K and discussing the world of K-dramas, and we're looking forward to seeing you guys again on the next episode. So don't forget to like subscribe, notification bell, for more content like this. So 감사합니다. And see you next time. 다음에도 만나요.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. This was Awesome
K.
Yay! See you guys.